So, the PlayStation Vita was an absolute beast when it released back in 2012. This stunning handheld was Sony's follow-up to the wildly successful PlayStation Portable and is a direct competitor for Nintendo's 3DS. However, the console impressed other like-minded people like myself with its incredible indie support. We have so many classic titles on this device such as Bastion, Fez, Hotline Miami, Limbo, and my personal favourite Shovel Knight, just to name a few. The game lineup for this thing is absolutely stacked, but as soon as the AAA support stopped, the public interest in this device went from bad to worse. With the rise of digital downloads and Sony overcharging customers for their proprietary memory cards, it's easy to see why this thing fizzled out so unceremoniously. It is with great pleasure to report that not is all dead with the PlayStation Vita in 2024 though. As a matter of fact, this thing is more alive than it ever was back in the day. Thanks to a dedicated modding community, this pretty little beast has a chance to shine. I'm going to break down a few of my favourite features on my modded Vita that I managed to pick up last year. The biggest improvement is that you no longer have to rely on Sony's proprietary memory cards. They are shockingly overpriced, but thanks to a card reader I found on Amazon, I am able to insert a normal SD card into the game cartridge slot. I have more games stored on this micro SD card than you will ever realistically play, and to be honest, it's my go-to travelling companion even over my Steam Deck. The form factor of the Vita and the smaller size of the unit makes it the most convenient handheld to travel with. We've now touched on how many games I have stored on the device, but let's display how much your game library can be enhanced by owning a modded PS Vita. You'll have to figure out how to get the games yourself, but let's start with my AAA Sony folder. As you can see, we have some bangers when it comes to Sony exclusives. We have Uncharted, Killzone, Tearaway, Wipeout, Little Big Planet, and the wildly underrated Freedom Wars. This folder is a perfect showcase for AAA games that Sony managed to release on the system. But Sony weren't the only people releasing games on the system. Here we have Persona 4 Golden, a game that was considered to be the main reason to own the system. This game can be purchased on many platforms now, but this is regarded as the ultimate PlayStation Vita release. On top of that, we have Soul Sacrifice and Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation. Before I move on to the more interesting games, I want to highlight this folder. What a godlike lineup of indie games in the palm of your hand. Shovel Knight, Bastion, Hotline Miami, Limbo, Undertale and Fez are some of my favourite games of all time. These indie releases kept the PlayStation Vita relevant after the AAA support had died out. The pixel density in the OLED screen was a beautiful combo that made these games pop. They still look really impressive today too. Now, onto the juicy stuff. The community has been hard at work to port over some games to run natively on the device. This isn't standard emulation, this is the real deal. We have Super Mario 64 on this thing, and my favourite playthrough of this game happened on this very PlayStation Vita. Running at 60 FPS with analog camera control was just a beautiful experience. It puts Nintendo's efforts on the Nintendo Switch to shame. We have so many ports, including the popular Metroid 2 fan remake, along with Zelda: A Link to the Past. Some legend even got my favourite Sonic game, Sonic Mania, up and running, but the special stages tank the performance and leave a little bit more to be desired. But other than that, fantastic experience. What's crazy to me though is we have some Android ports. I had a Dead Space game on my phone back in the day, but it's unfortunate to learn that the game will not properly run on my modern Samsung. Luckily, this game has been ported to the PlayStation Vita, so I can one day revisit this bad boy. These mad lads have ported over Grand Theft Auto Vice City, San Andreas, Bully, Crazy Taxi and many more games. I honestly did not expect this level of compatibility for the Vita, but these game ports have made this device low-key truly special. There's even a port of Final Fantasy 3 Remake on the 3DS that, I hate to admit it, but I absolutely adore it. So, I've covered native games, ports of classic games and ports of Android games. What more can this device do? Well, thanks to the Adrenaline app, one push of a button, you can turn your PlayStation Vita into a full-fledged PSP. Like I said previously, you'll have to get your own games, but on my memory card, I'm able to replay some of my favourite PSP games, or discover games I didn't get round to playing. PS1 support is also accounted for, so if you ever need that classic Resident Evil 2 or Crash Bandicoot experience on the go, this thing has got you covered. The fact that this app has a full PSP interface just fills me with nostalgia. The scary thing is, the game support only gets better. You can equip your Vita with RetroArch. I have yet to try many of the emulators on here, so I can't tell you how they run, but in my personal experience, the Game Boy Advance games have been solid on this device. You could probably get your usual Game Boy games, SNES and Sega games running on this device with no issues. So yeah, to top it off, the modded Vita has other features such as custom themes, but they're not really suited to my taste. The expanded storage capacity and the plethora of ports are what really drove me to this device and takes it to the next level. I'd like to thank the modding community for making this beloved console even more incredible than it already is. It's 2024 and I can still see myself using this beast in the future. If you are thinking of picking up a PlayStation Vita for yourself, I highly recommend it. The setup process is easy to do and can be completed straight from your Vita's web browser. However, there is a disclaimer. I haven't used my PlayStation Network account on my modded Vita. Some people say you can get away with it and that Sony don't really care unless you're cheating online. I, on the other hand, am unwilling to take such a risk with my account. Thank you for checking out the video, and if you love the Vita as much as me, smash that like button. If you think you're going to buy a PlayStation Vita after this, hit subscribe, leave a comment with your favourite Vita game or your favourite feature or port that I need to try out, and I'll see you on the next one.